good evening, Nigerian people.
Right. So before we get to talk about the state of the nation and all the president is currently doing, I've been wondering, how easy has it been for you to transit from a 7th senator, spokesman, then to the Senate, and then to the secretary of the ruling party?
I think it's all part of what we like call developmental, politics. And as you know, I was in the 9th, Senate. I was initially the chairman, Senate Committee on Diaspora, a non-governmental, organization. About 1 year into the life of the 9th Assembly, I was appointed spokesperson and chairman, Senate Committee on Media and Publicity, and also member of several other committees of the Nigerian Senate. And of course, I was a candidate of my party, the APC, in the 2023 general election. In fact, I was unopposed in the primary of my party. But unfortunately, I lost the general election, held on February 25, and I decided to move on. I didn't even bother to challenge the election at the tribunal. August 3rd, 2023, I was fortunate to be elected by the National Executive Council of our party as the National Secretary of the party. And of course, I've had a cognate experience, both in the executive and also legislative arm. I was a 2-term commissioner in my state, Osun State, Commissioner for Regional Integration and Special Duties, and later on to Nigerian Commissioner for Justice before going to the Senate. And of course, I also had a robust, private practice experience as a legal practitioner, an academic, and also a contributor to national debate. And I believe that coming into the party at this time has also afforded the party the opportunity of my experience in being able to work to get the party restructured in terms of getting it prepared, not only for the oncoming off-season election, but ahead of the 2027 election. And it's been a very nice and worthy experience working with seasoned politicians like our chairman, national chairman, Dr. Abdullahi Obaru Ganduje, and eminent personalities from diverse backgrounds in the National Working Committee of the party. But I must also say that I express my gratitude to the leaders of our party, particularly the president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the vice president, Kashim Shettima, and of course, my leaders in Osun, Baba Bisi Akonde, and former governor, now minister, Agboyega Oyetola, for the confidence they have in me and being able to put me forward. And of course, the Nigerian Governors Forum under leadership of Governor Hope Uzodinma for their confidence, as well as leadership of National Assembly for their confidence that I'll be able to discharge that onerous responsibility of heading the secretariat of the ruling party, and as we say among ourselves, the largest party in the continent of Africa.
So let's talk about Ondo State. The APC leadership recently waded into the attempt to impeach the deputy governor of Ondo State. So how far has the party gone with resolving this?
There has been substantial progress in addressing some of the salient issues in that regard. Although I may not be able to give details because it may prejudice some of the work that we are doing. But suffice to say that politics is about conflict, resolution of conflict, and of course aggregation of diverse interests. And of course, as a political party, we are doing our best to be able to identify, then be able to aggregate the different contending interests in the Ondo politics. So it's a matter of time that we'll see amicable resolution of the issues in that regard, particularly as we are preparing for primaries for the governorship election in Ondo and Edo State, latest by April next year. So I'm optimistic that the effort being made both in public and also in private discourse will be able to ensure that all contending interests, all issues are resolved in a way that the party in Ondo State comes out stronger from the present issues that we have.
All right, so let me ask you this before we move on. If the deputy governor agrees to withdraw his lawsuits against the State House of Assembly, are you confident that the Assembly will drop the impeachment plans?
I've been able to tell you that I won't want to go into so much details. Politics is a marathon and not a sprint. So there are so many processes involved. Just as the deputy governor has a case before the Federal High Court, we also know that the respondent, the state government, have also filed an appeal. So going into the nitty-gritty of what to withdraw first and who to withdraw and so on and so forth on the national television, with respect, may smack of irresponsibility as an administrator within the party. Suffice to say is that we'll do our best to ensure that we resolve the matter in an amicable situation and ensuring that it's a win-win situation for the different contending parties in the Ondo politics.
All right, then. So let's get to our discussion for today. It's been 5 months since President Tinubu assumed office as the president of this great country. How will you describe the journey so far?
I will say that the journey has been very tough, very challenging, and of course, there are a lot of rough edges that the president and the administration is working upon. And of course, as a participant in the party and the government activity, I would say that all is not in the places that we want it to be. But we are very optimistic that by the time the efforts being put into being able to restructure our economy, ensuring that we make Nigeria attractive to investors, and of course, rejuvenate the productive sector, at the end of the day, we'll be able to say that we are moving the country in the right direction. Of course, one of the several challenges that face this administration at inception has to do with the state of even the global economy. You will discover that the global pandemic of COVID affected drastically all economies in the world. So Nigeria itself is not isolated. We also have a lot of dysfunctionality in our economy, which is occasioned, one, by the first subsidy regime, which is taking a large chunk of resources that ought to be available for infrastructure development, for galvanizing the economy, and addressing the welfare of the people. We also have a situation whereby a large amount of our foreign reserves is also going to support the Naira and in the international market. These are part of challenges that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had to confront immediately. We are still smarting to get out of the symptoms of these challenges, but in the long run, we are very optimistic that the country will be able to go back to the path of productivity, which will assist in strengthening our currency. We also are optimistic that Nigeria will become an attractive place for investment, and therefore the diversification that is necessary so that we will not be relying too much on the oil and gas sector will also catalyze in development of our people. And of course, some of the challenges that we also are facing presently is in terms of food security and sustainability of prices of agriculture and commodity exchange in the country. And these are also areas that the country, the government is also working in that regard. Of course, I must also mention the problem that we have in terms of revenue for government. Most of the time, people outside the government often refer to the need to allocate money to certain sectors and this sector and so sector. But in reality, we must address the question of revenue. So we need to de-emphasize revenue from the oil sector. And I think that is why Mr. President set up an interdisciplinary committee in the area of tax revenue, so that we'll be able to address the inadequacy of revenue that is bedefiling the realization of development of our people. And of course, the president has also set up teams and the personnel in different sector to be able to ensure that we make use of the best brain in every aspect of our public life, irrespective of their ethnic origin or religious affiliation.
Distinguished, because it was a transition of power from the same APC, former President Muhammadu Buhari governed for 8 years under this same party. So it's understandable when people thought things would have been easier for this new administration. But why does governance appear tough for the administration of President Tinubu?
I will say that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, yes, is an offshoot of our political party. But largely from the way Mr. President took off on that momentous day, 29th of May 2023, is a reform government. And when you have a reform government, the fact that you are an offshoot of the previous administration does not make it easy for you to be able to take off. And what Mr. President is doing, and he made a very bold statement, that it is better for him for now to seem as unpopular, but then be able to lay a solid foundation for the advancement of our country. It is meritorious. So, and we also know, if you follow the pattern of the governance style of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as governor of Lagos State, in the first 1 or 2 years of his administration in Lagos, he appeared not to be popular, but by the time the effort he had put in place in the area of environmental sanitation, traffic decongestion, in the area of public-private partnership in infrastructure development came to reality, people began to give salutary kudos to him. So I'm very optimistic that the present challenges the administration is facing in terms of putting the right policies and the right programs and the right approach to financing public infrastructure, will be able to say at the end of the day that this man meant very well and he has acted not for his own personal adulation, but for the purpose of the general interest of the Nigerian people. And you see that one of the areas that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had put in place is the area of policy coordination, whereby there will be key performance index for each of the ministries, departments, and agencies of government, and there will be timelines for those deliveries, and there will also be certain measures and parameters to measure whether those set goals are being achieved. I think these are part of the reform that the administration is doing to ensure that we have a better approach to governance in the country.
Right. So it's evident that Nigerians are going through economic hardship and citizens are asking questions. How much longer do you think the country can begin to witness some relief?
I must here on behalf of our party say that we sincerely sympathize with the challenges that our fellow Nigerians, who are our brothers, sisters, family members are facing presently. But then we must be able to also say that some of these challenges are necessary in order for us not to go into an economic quagmire in the nearest future. You remember that Venezuela was also one time all-rich nation. The same thing with Argentina. But when certain policies were not put in place at the appropriate time, that led to serious consequences adversely affecting the populace in those countries. So we definitely feel that yes, there are present challenges in terms of inflation, in terms of accessibility, and of course the purchasing power of our people. But in the long run, by the time the increment of the wage of the workers are worked upon, by the time the infrastructure development project fully come on board, and by the time the country is able, with the reform being done in the area of the macro economy comes to fruition, we're able to attract foreign investors and develop the risk sector of our economy. Some of these challenges will definitely become a bit. But of course, I don't have power of clairvoyance. I cannot say that this is the cutoff date for which we'll be able to have overcome this. Life itself is a continuum, is challenging, and the ability of any leader is to be able to confront head on with any challenge and give a pathway for further development and prosperity of his people.
So because the major issue which compounded this suffering we're talking about is fuel subsidy removal, do you think the president made a mistake in removing the subsidy so early?
He did not make any mistake about subsidy. If assuming the subsidy had not been removed, I doubt whether the country would not have gone under in terms of being, practically, insolvent. You will, know that under the 2023 appropriation, even the National Assembly, when one in the 9th Assembly, we did not make any provision beyond end of June 2023 for subsidy removal, because what is being used for removal for subsidy is actually in excess of what goes into capital, expenditure of governance. And you know that when you are not spending on capital expenditure, and you are even borrowing money to sustain the subsidy regime, you are not only depleting your foreign reserves, you are also creating a dysfunctionality that would ultimately wreck the country. Yes, tough decisions are supposed to be taken, and the president has decided to take that very tough decision. Of course, as Robert Sula said, tough times never last, but tough people do.
So let's talk about another issue. This is the sliding value of the naira. Why is the administration finding it so hard to check this?
You see, the question of naira, I would say that I'm largely handicapped in many respects. I'm not, a core expert in the economy, no talk of monetary, policy, but from available literature, which is generally available, there are so many decisions that government will have to take. From what I read, I understand, maybe rightly or correctly, that in the previous period before naira is floated, at least about $1.5 billion are spent monthly to be able to sustain the artificial price of naira. And then there is also the problem of whether the country will be attractive to any investor who very well may not be able to repatriate their investment, or when they want to so repatriate, they are going to lose a large value in that regard. So a balancing has to be made in whether you want to continue to deplete our foreign reserves, or we want to make our country to become disincentive to investment, or we want to confront this problem. This is apart even from the fraud and corruption regime that the what I call subsidy of the naira is also causing. And the disincentive to investment and practical productivity can be seen in this way. If somebody able to get a dollar at 410 naira, then there's a black market where you can take it for 710 naira, and such people getting hundreds of millions of dollars. What incentive do you really have to engage in productive economy? Those are issues. Then we also have the fact that our productive sector is also challenged, and that is why one of the focus of this administration should be and is in the area of energy, because the cost of production itself will be reduced if we're able to tackle headlong the problem of energy, and then the huge amount of money being used on alternative source of energy apart from the electricity provided by the various discos would also be able to help small, middle scale, and even large industry to be able to produce to the level of productivity. And of course, you know that some of the building block for industrialization and productivity is steel production. As reading today, I learned that Ajaokuta steel production steel complex is between 92 and 98% completion. Of course, with a steel industry, you are really going to the path of a productive economy.
All right, distinguished. Yes, I know you're not an economist, but you just answered this question like an economist. So one more. I'm sure you know the CBN recently lifted the restrictions on Forex for 43 items. And many experts say this move will be counterproductive and will destroy local industries. Do you agree?
You see, there are always, policy choices that you have to make. do you want, within the context of African Free Continental Trade Agreement, which Nigeria is a signatory to and we're a party to, even if those restrictions were not removed, to the extent that you have a free trade regime within the continent of Africa, then you will be doing the service for yourself when you are still engaging in restricting international trade. That means that some other competitors within the African continent will take the benefit, and then you will be at a loss in this regard. Then when it comes to policy choices, there are always pros and cons for every policy choices, and I believe that those in the CBN and of course getting the approval of the people in charge of the economy making that decision, they are also not neophytes, and they could not be charged to be people who will act in a way consciously inimical to the economic development and growth of our country.
All right, distinguished, let's take a break.
Experience information and entertainment like never before as TVC Breakfast takes your weekends to a whole new level. Introducing TVC Breakfast Weekend Edition, your ultimate source of thrilling sports updates, insightful political analysis, and captivating entertainment news. Stay in the know with what's trending, catch up with the latest in sports, and immerse yourself in the latest buzz from the world of music and movies. Your weekends are no longer just days off, but moments packed with knowledge, excitement, and enjoyment. TVC Breakfast Weekend Edition, only on TVC News.
There's crisis. People are sleeping in ATMs. The banks are not managing this. This is driving Nigeria into economic crisis.
The CBN did not really do their homework right. They're supposed to have sensitized people.
INEC officials speaking as we speak, there are just some 4 more states.
Hereby certified that I am the returning officer,
President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I will discharge my duties. No provision is there for fuel subsidy. The fuel subsidy is gone. We must be able to save our country from going under and take our resources away.
Some persons coming to congratulate the Senate President.
The Ministry of Power will need to engage with the Ministry of Trade and Investment, as well as the Ministry of Finance.
We demand justice for the killers of Aloba Promise Mohbad.
Presidential election petitions cause has been completed until last witness, making it a total of 27 years.
I'm the chairman of the meeting.
2023 was a roller coaster of events, from the early year naira shortage to delving into the general election, inauguration, and more.
Bringing seasoned experts and analysts were quite crucial, yet challenging and necessary endeavor.
Hats off to our incredible sponsors and unwavering supporters who have fueled us throughout the year.
Our team of reporters, we are on the ground across the 36 states of the Federation, bringing you live coverage and breaking news.
Kudos to our dynamic news reporters nationwide, talented producers, creative motion graphics and promo producers, smooth editors, dedicated studio wizards, and every unsung hero behind the scenes.
I want to tell you that your behind-the-scenes magic is what brings our programs to life.
Your contribution adds depth and resonance to our storytelling.
Thank you for your tirelessness. Thank you for setting high standards. Thank you for your commitment through the years. And to our clients and partners across the states of Nigeria, you've been the canvas on which our compelling stories get painted.
As we stand at the threshold of a new year,
we'll extend heartfelt thank you.
Your support has been instrumental, and I want to tell you that we really appreciate your trust in us.
We express our desire to improve and fortify news coverage in 2024 and beyond.
Your contributions make our news magic happen, and I genuinely value each one of you as we gear up for 2024.
We're looking forward to an even brighter future. Here's to greater collaboration, innovation, and compelling stories.
Let's keep the momentum and cheers flowing. Your support makes it all worthwhile.
Akiwande Wole Soyinka was born on 13th July 1934 in Abeokuta, Nigeria, to parents Samuel and Grace Soyinka. His education began with the Christian lessons of his parents as well as the more traditional Yoruba spiritual customs taught to him by his grandfather. He had his preparatory university studies at Government College Ibadan in 1954, subsequently University College Ibadan, and he continued at the University of Leeds, earned a bachelor's degree in English literature. Soyinka's master's degree focused on projects combining his Yoruba culture with traditional British theatre traditions. He later returned to school in Nigeria to study African theatre, during which time he continued to produce poems and plays, one of which appeared on Nigerian television. Shortly after, he became the chief of the Cathedral of Drama at the University of Ibadan. Nigeria had only recently gained independence from Britain and political corruption was at a high. Soyinka's plays and poems became increasingly political and he began giving speeches protesting government corruption. He was accused of conspiring with the Biafra rebels. He was therefore arrested and imprisoned in 1967 for almost 2 years during the Civil War, but managed during his time to write numerous poems. He was finally released in 1969 after a brief period in France. He returned to his position at the university where he founded the magazine Black Orpheus. He left his position and Nigeria in 1971, wary of the political climate of the country. During this time, he published books of poetry and essays. His plays were collected and published, and newer plays were staged. In 1986, he was the first African to win the Nobel Prize in Literature for a wide cultural perspective and with poetic overtones fashioning the drama of existence. He dedicated his acceptance speech to Nelson Mandela and used the platform to criticize apartheid. Later that same year, Soyinka was awarded the Ajib Prize and in 1988 published his book Mandela's Earth and other poems as well as art, dialogue, and outrage, essays on literature and culture. He also accepted a position at Cornell University. Throughout his life, he has served as a spokesman against apartheid and government corruption. He has won numerous other awards for his work, including the Anisfield Wolf Book Award, the Academy of Achievement Golden Plate Award, and the Ajib Prize for Literature. And he has taught at many prestigious universities, including Emory University, Harvard, and Obafemi Awolowo University. In his lifetime, Soyinka has published 2 novels, 3 collections of short stories, made 3 movies, translated 2 novels, 5 memoirs, 7 poetry collections, 13 essay collections, and produced nearly 30 plays. He holds honorary doctorates from numerous universities and has been invited to teach in schools around the world. He continues to write prolifically in spite of a bout with prostate cancer in 2014. Wole Soyinka, the Nigerian playwright and political activist, has positioned himself as a voice of the voiceless through his piece of art. He has distinguished himself as the African icon that continuously makes a mark in African literature and the world at large.
The Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy held its 2023 Maritime Stakeholders Roundtable on advancing sustainable development in Nigeria's maritime industry in Lagos. The focus of the one-week roundtable was to come up with a reliable and sustainable roadmap for achieving the ministry's mandate. We also have on the program today some global headline stories in the maritime business. And that will be in our Tidbits segment, where Oluwasegun Aloko will bring us details. Thanks for joining us on The Shipper, the flagship program of Nigeria's maritime sector. We'll be back after this short break. Do stay with us.
Nigerian Shippers Council, they to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you.
Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council, they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods, they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a need. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you wella, work with you wella, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily. Papa, email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
For you, we
Nigerian Shippers Council with a meeting now for the port of Nani.
Welcome back to The Shipper, your go-to program for information on the latest in the maritime industry. It's brought to you courtesy of Nigerian Shippers Council, the nation's port economic regulator. My name is Rekia Zikru Yagoyaju. The establishment of the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy no doubt places a huge responsibility on stakeholders whose task it is to sustainably use ocean and coastal resources for the nation's economic development. How to resuscitate the Nigerian National Shipping Line, NNSL, dominated discussions at the 2023 Stakeholders Roundtable. NNSL was set up as a non-vessel owning common carrier, mainly to manage national shipping for purposes of deriving invisible earnings without ship ownership and operation. This proved to be a significant development for the maritime trade of West Africa for the better part of 4 decades, as it was both an investment and protest against the monopoly and unfair practices of the mainly European carriers, which dominated the West African shipping trade. NNSL was liquidated in 1995. Truth be told, the story of NNSL is not one that is recalled with pride. The potential embedded in the marine and blue economy is enormous, and if adequately harnessed, will contribute significantly to the development of the nation's non-oil sector.
The blue economy happened to be an offshoot of the African Union. Discussion centering on the blue economy has been on since 2010. That was when the Charter on Maritime Transport was instituted. Then after the Charter on Maritime Transport came the African Integrated Maritime Strategy, AIMS. So all these documents, contain the roadmap for the development of the blue economy.
The reality of it is that the blue economy would have to pivot around the maritime data that is available to us as a nation, ranging from the bathymetry to the oceanographic and indeed the wider ancillary products of the marine environment.
Let's now join Lucy Nyambi as she presents the report brought in by the Shippers correspondent Abiodun Adeshino.
The Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy was established by government to use marine resources for economic development. Nigeria's coastline stretches for 420 nautical miles and covers an exclusive economic zone of 200 miles. Maritime activities have the capacity to create jobs and wealth for the nation while transforming the economy. It was in line with this objective that these stakeholders in the maritime industry converged at this roundtable to explore ways of advancing maritime activities in the country. The Stakeholders Roundtable was declared open by Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola. He said the meeting was crucial, timely, and a step in the right direction. He assured stakeholders that the desire to pursue the revitalization of the national shipping line was not to be seen as a means to compete with ship owners, but a conscious effort to revitalize and broaden the industry for shipbuilders, repairers, and auxiliary services long suppressed. He declared that Nigeria can claim a portion of the estimated $10 billion that the industry has to offer.
We will be looking at such areas like strengthening the blue governance, transforming port operations, enhancing port infrastructure, and promoting blue economy investment. This roadmap is designed in such a way as to enable our ministry to fulfill its mission of formulating and implementing policies, programs, and initiatives that will facilitate the development of an inclusive marine and blue economy ecosystem, driven by an operating environment that meets global best standards, as well as to fulfill its vision of positioning Nigeria as a premier maritime nation by utilizing the potential of its blue economy to diversify revenue, assure sustainable development, and cultivate environmental stewardship.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Dr. Magdalene Ajani, further stated that this roundtable was to showcase the policy direction and share the operational blueprint of the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy. She expressed the hope that the roundtable would develop the much-needed synergy between the public and private sectors.
This Stakeholders Forum has been designed for us to inform, equip, and enable us to share knowledge on critical issues affecting the maritime sector, particularly as the new administration has deemed it fit to showcase the potentials of the marine and blue economy, as well as harness its opportunities for the benefit of Nigerians.
Other speakers at the opening session all applauded the roundtable and promised to contribute their knowledge and expertise to advance the cause of building a viable maritime industry and to help the new ministry perform optimally.
The gathering is a very good way to start, although we can say it's belated, because I have expected the Honorable Minister to put up a gathering like this before this time, but it's better than not happening at all. And it is an opportunity for those of us that are stakeholders to actually let the Honorable Minister know what is happening in the industry.
I want to see this event come up with the fact that we must have enough ships to be able to enjoy and benefit from the blue economy. All the countries of the world had started a deliberate policy on blue economy right from the 1999, 2001. A country like Denmark that houses the Maersk Line, they had it as a policy in 2001. And that is why a company like Maersk Line records a profit of $3 billion a month. But you know what? They have 746 ships. So without ships, don't even talk about the blue economy.
At the ministerial retreat held on the second day, the minister thanked all present for their commitment. He started off by reminding all present that he and the permanent secretary have signed a performance bond with Mr. President, contents of which have been transmitted to directors and chief executive officers of agencies under his ministry. The ministry's mandate, vision, and mission were also restated for a better understanding of the ministry's direction.
One of the key performance indicators of this meeting is to cascade the signed bond to ministries, directors, and chief executive officers of the ministry's agencies. In Mr. President's speech, he stated emphatically that the results delivery unit of the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation was established to track performance of the signed bond. I'm convinced we have what it takes to deliver on our KPIs. We are, however, therefore gathered here to brainstorm on how to deliver on the KPIs. I would like to bring us up to speed with the mandate, vision, and mission that have been set out for us as a ministry to achieve our goals. Our mandate is to institutionalize blue economy as an important pillar for economic sustenance and growth diversification, having due regard to ecosystem. The basic vision is to position Nigeria as a premier maritime nation by utilizing the potential of its blue economy to diversify revenue, assure sustainable development, and cultivate environmental stewardship. While the mission is to formulate and implement policies, programs, and initiatives that facilitate the development of an inclusive maritime and blue economy ecosystem, driven by an operating environment that meets global best standards.
The Permanent Secretary confirmed the existence of the performance bond signed by the minister and spoke on its value.
It is imperative that we all come together to critically understand this performance bond, the variables, and be acquainted on what is expected of us to achieve as a ministry/agencies, particularly as the maritime sector, has proven to be one of the critical sectors that is at the heart of economic growth and prosperity of Nigeria. The sector is a key catalyst for GDP growth, economic diversification, job creation, and revenue generation. The sector determines the ease of doing business and the ranking of Nigerian trade competitiveness in the Committee of Nations. Therefore, in order to reposition the marine and blue economy sector for better performance and enhanced productivity, in line with the renewed hope agenda, the ministry alongside this agency must therefore work together harmoniously and leverage on all shared resources. We must continuously refer to the performance contract we have signed and use it as a reference point to appraise our successes or otherwise. Dear colleagues and Honorable Minister, it's important that we note that the ministry shall review the performance of the agencies monthly and appraise their level of achievement quarterly. There will also be platforms for us to regularly have conversations that will help improve our performance and ensure collective execution of our mandates.
Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Shippers Council, Barrister Pius Okeima Akuta, expressed delight at the concept behind the Stakeholders Engagement Forum and promised to use templates in his handling of the Shippers Council affairs. He also expressed optimism about the completion of the Funtua Inland Dry Port.
Deliverable 10, complete the construction of critical maritime projects. Now, this is where we have the primary role in terms of the completion of the Funtua port. And the minister was very clear about this, and he gave us clear directive that this should be completed in the first quarter of 2024. And we are in agreement with that with the Honorable Minister to ensure that that happens.
Shedding more light on the meaning and implication of the performance bond signed by the minister, Dr. Bashir Jamu, Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NMASA, said it is no longer business as usual.
This performance contract is something that will enable you to deliver value to the Nigerians. So who will execute or help in delivering such values? That is why we converge here. We listen to the stakeholders. What are your expectations? What you think we can do to make Nigeria great, to make marine and blue economy great, and to ensure we help Mr. President deliver his mandate. So now is not a time of tea and enjoyment. It's time to go back to the drawing board and ensure that what we sign, we deliver.
A former Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer, Nigerian Shippers Council, Hassan Bello, was emphatic about the role of Nigerian Shippers Council in synergizing all components of the marine and blue economy for effective results.
Transportation takes a crucial stage because our economy is facing a lot of challenges at present and even in the future. So we need alternative sources of revenue, and I think the blue economy will be that. Blue economy is not only this ministry. The blue economy is agriculture, it's naval, it is even energy, tourism, aquaculture, fisheries, and so on. There's nobody who can coordinate these stakeholders like Nigerian Shippers Council. And Nigerian Shippers Council is doing great now, and I've seen a great team coming with the new ES, and I'm sure Nigerian Shippers Council will have a say on how this handling of the blue economy will happen.
The ministerial retreat provided a platform for participants to understand the mandates of the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry and the policy direction of the federal government for the maritime industry.
The stakeholders engagement, first of all, was a wonderful opportunity to engage with stakeholders, to share ideas, crossbreed ideas on how to move the Marine and Blue Economy Ministry forward. You know, in a few weeks I will unveil some of the policy direction of the agency, and then what we have gathered together for the last 2 days of this retreat, we'll put them together and cascade that down to the agency level. And I believe that with the amount of resource, human resource that I have in that agency, it's not going to be a difficult thing navigating through to know where we're heading. And I know that in the few years, we should definitely accomplish a lot.
In the final analysis, stakeholders expressed commitment to the growth of the sector, which is important.
It is believed that resolutions reached at this roundtable would have far-reaching benefits in the sector. Be assured that your loyalty to the shipper will allow you to be the first to know of latest developments and progress in Nigeria's marine and blue economy. Let's now join Oluwasegun Aloko, who is standing by in the Tidbits Corner for a peep into the local and international maritime activities.
Cargo worth 36 million naira has been released thanks to the Nigerian Shippers Council for its mandatory role. The cargo owned by Intusa Multi-Global Concept was withheld by Oblight Nigeria Limited due to a misunderstanding between Oblight and Trum Bus Agency. Mr. Daniel Orume, Deputy Director and Head of the Council's Complaints Unit, requested the immediate release of the consignment, affirming Intusa Multi-Global Concept. Orume spoke of NSA's plans to continue encouraging shipping lines to automate their operations and to register with the Council for more secure and efficient transactions within the port. The parties praised NSA for proactive conflict resolution, expressing confidence in its commitment to efficient port operations. The resolution of this dispute underscores NSA's dedication to ensuring a fair and level playing field for all players in the maritime sector.
I got to Nigerian Shippers Council through to my general manager, Khalifa JSA. He's the one that let me know about the Nigerian Shippers Council, which I laid my complaint against Harkas, which upon my unit it has been held for more than 35 days. The council helped me with the past and we held a conference and meeting. Don't have anything to say to Nigerian Shippers Council rather than thank you and thank you.
The mediation today went fine. As shipping agency, we were able to make our position very clear, and the council also aligned with our position. Protecting the shippers' interests, we've seen that it's always available to mediate where there are misunderstanding between shipping line agent and shippers. Shippers Council is doing well.
The Border Information Center in Jibia and the Katsina Area Office recently participated in a one-day seminar organized by the Nigerian Customs Service, Katsina Area Command, in collaboration with the Institute of Strategic Management, Nigeria. The event themed Strategic Management, the key to sustainable and successful performance, aimed to strengthen the relationship between the Nigerian Customs Service and the Nigerian Shippers Council, fostering collaboration for improved operational efficiency. Topics included strategic planning, performance management, and organizational development, with renowned experts sharing insights. The event provided an opportunity for collaboration and knowledge sharing, emphasizing the significance of strategic management for sustainable success. Now, this is to all stakeholders in the maritime sector. For all-inclusive information about our services and to submit any grievances, please visit our website at www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng. It's time to check our complaint register for the week, 26th November to 2nd November 2023. During the period, we received a total of 9 complaints, and they are all ongoing investigations. The types of complaints include withholding of consignment, disputes over container, outrageous charges, delayed payment, unfair charge increment, request for waiver, and excessive storage charges. We now bring you maritime stories around the world. Singapore marks a milestone in maritime decarbonization with the unveiling of the Hydro Mover, a fully electric cargo vessel deployed by Yinxin Green Tech, YGT, and the Go Zero Consortium. With zero emissions and potential 50% cost savings, the 18.5-meter vessel is set for commercial trials. YGT plans to collaborate with local organizations, making the Hydro Mover a living lab for research. CEO Eric Barclay envisions regional impact with interest from Indonesia entities. The initiative reinforces YGT's commitment to achieving net zero emissions by 2050. Wärtsilä Technology Group has entered a strategic partnership with San Francisco Water Emergency Transportation Authority, WETA, to develop the first high-speed zero-emissions ferries in the United States. Upon conceptual approval, the project plans to construct 2 larger and 3 smaller electric-powered ferries by the end of 2023, with commercial operations set to commence in 2025. WETA's commitment to sustainability exceeds regulatory requirements, positioning them as leaders in zero-emission practices within the maritime industry. Denmark's Green Instrument has partnered with China's Hundong shipbuilding to enhance ship safety by installing early detection equipment for oil mist and vapor. The technology, capable of scanning a 15-meter range, triggers alarm at the first signs of danger, helping prevent engine room fires, a significant risk area in ships. Engine room fires can cost $1.85 million